No, go ahead. You fine. Oh, there we go. Instagram is working today. Now, so, yeah, I was on yesterday at 5 o'clock, my regular time, and it wouldn't let me get on. So I had to go over to YouTube and Facebook and do my little show with Larry Sam. So if y'all want to see that, y'all can go over to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, and y'all can see that. Oh, hey Alva, girl, where you been? But you can see that conversation that me and Larry Sams had yesterday. Hey Africa, I miss you too. Hope you over there staying safe. Uh, Somebody mentioned my podcast. If you guys have not got the chance to download it or like, I don't know how podcasts work, but if you haven't went over there to it, go to my stories and swipe up and go there, swipe up and do whatever you're supposed to do with podcasts, right? So today I am chit chatting with Tanya Sam today. And, if y'all haven't followed Tanya, I mean, I'm sure y'all know who Tanya is. But if y'all haven't followed her, follow her. But she is, been doing something every day, giving everybody something. So make sure y'all go check her out. Are you here for the podcast? Thank you, Alba. If y'all haven't, hey, Evelyn, all y'all checking in today. Child, you know what? Everybody must be at home today because everybody checking in. Yeah, if y'all haven't checked out the podcast, it's called Gay Like Me on Instagram. And on Instagram, it's called Gay Like Me, and it's on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. But it's a really, really good podcast. I'm really excited about it. I have been here. I've been here minding my own business. Yes, I'm still doing hair. I still have my salon. Well, I was doing hair up to 3 weeks ago. Now I am here entertaining you guys every day. This is becoming more something I want to do for fun. Is now becoming more like a job because I'm on here. Let's see. Let me text Tanya and tell her to jump on. Hey Bernard. Okay. Text Tanya. Okay, I'm back. So how are y'all? Where are y'all checking in from? How are y'all doing? What y'all been doing while y'all on y'all quarantine? Where's everybody from? As y'all know, I'm here in Atlanta. This is my 4th week of quarantine. I started early, right when I heard this stuff was going down. I got my ass right. I shut myself down quickly. So I started a week after. So Michigan, Indiana, Houston, Texas. Oh, Jamaica. What's happening in Jamaica? Oh, boom. Chicago, New York. Tanya,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Sorry, I was a little bit late to the party.
Oh no, you're fine. What do you have
Okay,
your
good.
drink with you?
I do. I need a refill, so I'll
What
get a refill in a second.
what were you drink? So where are you drinking on?
I'm trying to be a little skinny fabulous, and so I'm just doing vodka shaken with ice, lime bubbly with a Splenda.
I mean that's fancy.
It's not. It's just otherwise I'm gonna drink myself into like fatty oblivion. So like I was the first week of quarantine, I was drinking like Bailey's, amaretto, sugar, sugar, sugar. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to be a little bit better going into week 3.
Well, I have mixed berry juice. I'm at my girlfriend's house because she's gonna do my nails because she's doing.
What?
Well, no, let me tell you. No, we've been self quarantining. No, we've been self quarantining. We have been self quarantining, and so she's doing a nail tutorial. So I came over here to do that. I've been in the house for 4 weeks.
I don't care. You're supposed to stay. Guys, it's like, do you remember that cartoon? I'm 41, so I don't know. You guys will remember. Do you remember Family Circus where it was a cartoon and the kid would like go out of his house and it would trace his footprints everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is how we like we track and contact trace like vectors and virus tracking. How do you know who's interacted with who?
Well, that is true.
Well, the other thing is, and I'm like super psycho obsessed with this right now. The other thing is who else you get in contact with. So like if you're saying, oh, I'm, this is the thing. People are like, I don't live with elderly or immunocompromised people. They're less worried.
Mm-hmm. And which is not so much true.
It's not so much true because then if you pick it up, you're like a strong horse that just breathes it out to everyone, and then you never know.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going nowhere else after this. I'm going back home.
Go back home.
Yes. I'm going right back home and get back in
Yes.
my bed and self-quarantine. So,
Yes.
I was asking what you've been doing, but you've been showing us every day on IG.
Guys, I'm so bored that I feel like I'm just becoming that TMI person that's like, oh my gosh.
I'm going to cook your recipe that you posted.
It's so easy.
Yeah,
I used to cook it when I was like years ago when I lived in New York. I had like 3 different roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to cook it for all of us and we'd eat it for like 2 days. And yeah, it's really easy. The key is you've got to see if you can get a rotisserie chicken. You can make it with the whole chicken yourself, but that just takes longer.
Okay, but you can just buy a rotisserie chicken from.
Yeah.
Well, I guess do they still have rotisserie chicken? Okay.
They do, because I've been Instacarting a lot of my groceries, and they just drop that chicken on the front door. I bring it inside, and yeah. Wait, Miss Kyrese says he's talking. She's like, "What's the recipe?" I did an Instagram live the other day of this quick 20-minute coconut chicken and shrimp coconut curry. It's delicious. So it's on my live. It's really good.
It's on
my page. Yeah, it's on my
page.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was looked really yummy. So that's what I'm gonna try.
It's really, really good.
So Tanya, for all of us that are like business owners, that are small businesses that are shut down.
Yeah.
Me and you didn't get to really talk when we were in the Bahamas and we were talking about just being in a tech space.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm not techie, I can't do it. He's like, we need to talk. We didn't get a chance to talk.
Yeah.
But for all of us that are not working right now, we don't have anyone coming in.
Yeah.
Like, what are like some small things that we could be thinking about as far as when it's time for us to go back to work to keep us moving?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing right now is a lot of people are having to pivot their brick and mortar businesses, service industry businesses, hair and barbershops to like online or an e-commerce store. And I think this is, okay, so there's going to be, I'm trying to be practical and pragmatic with this, because I really think about a lot of my friends that are makeup artists or like stylists, and your businesses depend on you having a place where people can go and congregate. And like that is a really scary part, and I don't have good answers to that because we haven't thought that far in advance. But I think now's the time when people are at home, they can start building websites, and this is something that I think 10 years ago would have been super hard. Like you and I couldn't have just built a website, but y'all got the time now. Like there's a lot of good websites out there. Squarespace, it becomes easier and easier, and so maybe spend the next time just building your own personal brand. And like Derek has such a great brand because he was on the show, but it's bigger than that. He worked at it for so long. It doesn't mean that you have to be on a show to build a brand, but building a brand for any business owner is being able to like effectively communicate who you are and what your offering is through a website, through Instagram, those things. And I think that this is an opportunity to work on that.
So for us, it's like we're feeling like, so we're not crazy thinking like, oh my God, we don't know what to actually do right now. Because I feel like it has to be something, like you said, our business is touching and dealing with people. So it's like, it's nuts. It's like we can't do anything.
And that's the scariest part, because even now I'm like going, wait, you're getting your nails done. You're like, but I have such empathy for folks who are like, but this is what I do. This is what I went to school for, and this is what I do. And so it's kind of a yet to be determined type thing. We got to figure it out. But I would say those things. I was speaking to, I have a couple hairstylists because Derek and I have talked to this, guys. I say I hoe around with my hairstylist a little bit because you got different people who do different things.
So which one were you talking to?
I was talking to one of the girls who does a lot of my sew-ins, and she's a single mom. She's a young daughter, but I was also she was like, can you talk to my daughter and yell at her because she's in grade 4 and she doesn't want to do her homework.
Mhm.
But she was like, maybe I could do, some Instagram stories on how to color, how to this. And, she's like, that for me, she was like, I think I'm really good at coloring because I like the chemistry of it. And so she had something that she believes she has a talent that she could share with other people and help them.
Mhm.
So, during this time, I mean, it's kind of odd for us because sometimes people will be like, if I go live on Instagram, maybe 10 people will watch. But I mean, that's how you build a following. It sounds crazy, but you just got to do it.
Well, and I would surprisingly, like I said, I started this last week.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was going to turn into a job, but I check in every day at 4:45 and get ready for my 5 o'clock show.
Yep.
But I didn't know. But what I do appreciate about it is it's allowing all of us to now we have to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And we're sharing our experiences, we're sharing our stories, our knowledge. And I really want to talk to you because you come from a nurse's background and you have a youthful way of explaining all of this stuff that's going on. So from a realistic scale, I know you're not an expert on it, but from a realistic standpoint, how long are we gonna be shut down, Tanya? It's gonna probably be till June, huh?
Okay. So I have been going back and forth, and you guys, people, if you follow me, I am really a truly optimistic person, but I do have a healthcare background. Like I've worked as an RN for years. I actually, when SARS, which was similar to coronavirus, hit in 2013, I was in the hospital where the first case went. We went through something very similar to this in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it to you guys straight. You might not like me after this, but I think it'll also help us prepare for like where we need to go. I think that number one, the next 2 to 4 weeks, guys, are going to be really, really critical if you're here in Georgia. We are becoming a hotspot, and we have had interesting leadership from the top down that wasn't as forthright, I think, as they should have been. In that, they were saying this will probably go away by summer because the temperature is going to change and all this stuff. But the facts are this is a virus that is spreading very, very quickly. And the reason why it's spreading so quickly is because it has a very high infectivity rate, right? So think of like a droplet of cough. This virus has tons and tons of viral particles in one tiny droplet of cough that spreads very easily to other people, right? It's not like other viruses that, takes a lot of it to basically inundate you for you to catch it. We're seeing that one cough spreads to one person and they have it and they keep spreading it. So it multiplies very, very quickly. And so that's why we're seeing this global spread like we've never seen before. The problem also is a lot of those carriers have no symptoms. So they're spreading it like dandruff all over the place, and then everyone else is spreading it. So I think now we've reached this really interesting crescendo where the virus is everywhere, and we're going to see in the next couple of weeks a lot of people getting sick. And that's why it's critical in the next, I'll answer that question in a minute, big homie smiles, to stay home. Okay, because it's not that we're all getting sick, it's that we're all spreading it at a really, really incredibly high rate. So I think for sure the next 4 weeks, if we actually stay home, guys, we can decrease the effects of this virus a lot, significantly. And then I think that it will be a couple months after that where we'll sort of have like rolling ebbs and flows of how we can get back to normal. Because here's the other thing. The way to cure this is a vaccine. Vaccines typically take about 2 years to make. And they want to make the right vaccine. In order for a vaccine to work, we need to inoculate the whole population. We can't mess around and give the wrong vaccine to an entire population of people if we haven't been able to properly test it. So we have to go slow. So that brings us back to like the real way to do that is to not get it, not spread it. Okay. Am I talking a lot, guys? I can slow down. I don't know if it's interesting or not.
This is all the information that
yeah.
They're not. So basically, from watching the news, they're not really saying it like this. They're talking all around the conversation to just say, "This is what it is. This is why you need to stay at home."
Yes, you need to stay at home so that we don't spread it, right? So all of us that are like think we don't have, and a lot of people have like, you know what, I think I probably had a touch of COVID last week. You probably did, and you cleared it. The problem is spreading it to other people. Okay, so that vaccine is a problem. And like, this might freak you out. Have you guys ever seen that movie I Am Legend with Will Smith?
Yes.
That is like your worst case nightmare, because they basically inoculated the whole entire world with this vaccine that didn't work and turned everyone into death seekers. That's like a lot of sci-fi drama there, but like, that's what we don't want. So that's why creating a vaccine is really hard. Okay, there's a second part to this where people are talking about like herd immunity. So what if enough of us have contracted this virus that we have just agreed upon spreads very, very quickly? Will we make our own antibodies to it so that we can eventually protect ourselves and we won't get it? So that's part two, but that also takes time. And so I think and here's the thing, there's not a lot of proven research because they haven't had the time to do the studies, but that's part two. We're trying to see like, okay, well, if enough people get it, but there's a lot of risk in that because we don't know who will get very sick, who will get not so sick, and who will recover. But like, that's another thing they're trying to work on. So long story short, coming back to when will we be like this, I think that we've got another couple of months. And what will really change the game is testing. And one of the problems is now we don't have enough tests, and this might sound crazy to people, but imagine, you know, can we get tests faster than we can get a vaccine? For sure. They just have to manufacture them. And then that would give us time to basically help identify people who are carriers. Because if we don't know we're all carrying the disease and passing it around, if you can do a quick test and say, shoot, I have this disease, that means I absolutely have to stay home so I don't spread it. You stay home for 14 days. We know you have it. We test you again in 14 days. And then you're like, okay, I can go back out into society.
So if you are a carrier and don't know you have it, 14 days kind of gets rid of it.
14 days, they're saying, is the time if you're asymptomatic and you're not really, really sick, right? So if you're asymptomatic and you test and you're like, oh my gosh, I had COVID, I had no idea. They're saying that usually it works itself out of a healthy system in 14 days. That is not true for people who get really, really sick. Like they could be sick for weeks and still be shedding the virus, right? And okay, I'll just say one more thing about testing. There's a couple types of tests that they're working on. The first test that they've been working on and everyone talks about that hurts so much is similar to an STD test for you men, where we would take a Q-tip and we would swab in your penis. Remember those? I used to be an STD nurse, guys. You should have. I used to be an STD nurse for Toronto Public Health in Toronto, so I used to swab a lot of penises, right? Same type of swab, but we put it in your nose, and it goes very deep, like not even how normal people could put this Q-tip into your nose. So they would swab like back into your nasal chambers. So it is kind of painful. That's one type. The other type is they're working on blood tests so that you can see immunoglobulins that'll show up in your blood. And then there's a couple other ones, but that's how the testing is right now. And everyone's going, no, ma'am, y'all.
So I know, because it is we do know it's an airborne disease, right? So they were telling us not to wear masks if you don't have it. But I would think that you would want to wear a mask if you were coughing.
So I feel very strongly about this too, guys. I've had to take news breaks because yesterday I lost my shit and I was like, oh, and I was crying because I was watching all these political briefings and I'm pacing and going, that's not right, right? Okay, so this is how I feel. And I feel like the right people, Dr. Fauci, Sanjay Gupta, the right medical people have informed us about this. And I think this is going to change. Okay. The question with masks is, what do they do? So number one, there are specific masks that we use in healthcare called N95. They're the ones that are round like this and they actually have a vent. Those masks are used for healthcare providers that are in direct contact with airborne and viral diseases that are contact, etc., because they actually filter out the virus from coming into your mouth, okay? So if I'm trying to intubate or trach a patient, like they're coughing all sorts of stuff into my face, I need to be as protected so I don't get it. So that's one type of mask. And the others are the surgical masks. So I think that it behooves us to be open to the idea of wearing masks for two reasons. One of our biggest problems is we have all these carriers that are breathing out masks. breathing out germs and they don't know. So if you consider the Beltline, right? One of my biggest beefs is the Beltline and all these parks are open. So people are running along the Beltline being like, spreading germs, and everyone's like, oh, it's cool. They're 6 feet away from me, but they're spitting and they're breathing heavily and they don't know if what us as the public wearing masks does, and Asians have done this forever, is it decreases the incidence of spread, because if we are an unknown carrier, we're keeping our germs to ourselves. So there's a lot of studies out right now. And so we've kind of like, let's just be honest, people, you know, for years, Asians have always worn masks. We'll see them just wearing them casually on a plane and we're all like, what are you doing? Asians in general have lower incidence of the normal flu because they think as a society, they're more protective of wearing those masks. And I think that will trickle over to this because we don't know who's spreading it or not. So there's 2 types. Now, I think, you know, does it help if people are making homemade masks and that's helping? And because I'm at the grocery store and I don't know if I'm a carrier and I wear that homemade mask to the grocery store, why not? It's not trying to protect. Those masks that the civilians would be wearing won't be protecting us from getting it. It does a little bit, but it's more protecting other people.
Gotcha. Okay, so masks, yes. Like, so you should wear a mask just so you won't be spreading your germs out into the
and I think it'll be a weird societal change, but this is weird times anyways. And there's a whole question of, wait, we need to save these masks for the people in the hospitals. I definitely believe that. I've been working with friends to get more masks and like, do people have stockpiles of it? So yes, I think that our hospital and healthcare workers deserve those special masks first. But yeah.
So we're looking like in June.
I think it's going to be a bit of time. I think that it's going to be a dramatic world change in terms of travel and how we get about. And I think like I don't lose my mind. I think we can get through June.
Okay.
I think we can get through June, and it probably won't. Let's put it this way. You know how I was planning that big trip to Toronto?
Yes.
I don't think by July or August or this summer, we're going to have 1 million people dancing in the street on each other. I don't think so.
Well, you said they pushed Essence Festival back to
virtual.
Essence Festival back to October. When my friend and doctor, Evelyn Barenko here, so I'm a physician on the front lines of COVID-19, and she said you are exactly right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she's very smart too. So I love talking to her, but she keeps it real. So I think that's why I really want to talk to you, Tay, because it's just very blunt about what the conversation is. Like, this is what it is, and I think that's what everybody is just kind of missing right now.
Yes.
Just tell us what it is, because with so much conflicting information, nobody knows what to really believe, and then we're just out here trying to do stuff on our own, which that doesn't really work.
And you know, I think there's a lot of misinformation, because here's the thing: a lot of the facts are people don't freaking know. Like, government's trying to figure it out. We would have thought, you know, the CDC and all these people, but a lot of it is we just don't exactly know. But I've been reading like these really motivating passages that are like, guys, this is the first time, I'm going to paraphrase it, like in our lifetimes, that we aren't fighting a war, you know, we aren't fighting a war against other people shooting us. We're actually fighting a war against an unknown virus that's actually trying to like take down humanity. And like, this is just your chance to do your part. Like, we're going to be scarred as fuck. Like, I feel like I will now become like that meme of like, I'm my grandma, I'm stockpiling like jars of pasta. I will be that person, because you're like, who knows? My sister sent me a link to a generator, and I'm like, oh my God, do I need a generator? Like, we're going to be a little bit scarred, but we have to like do the right thing right now.
And that's just stay at home.
Yeah. And it's really stay at home. Stay at home.
Now, Tay, you've been like literally all week. So when I watch your live that comes on, you've been all over the place. Like, you got a book club,
I'm just serious. I mean, but they're actually, I'm trying because I'm trying to entertain myself. And like,
Uh-huh.
I tell myself I come from a really big family. But I also feel like I have total only child tendencies because I could seriously sit in a room and be like, okay, what am I going to do with myself right now? So like, yeah. But I'm just, and then it's funny because I'll get on lives with my sisters and they're like, you should do a cooking thing. Cause I was, you'll be like having a FaceTime with your sisters. And she's like, you should share this. And I was like, nobody wants to see this shit. And she's like, just do it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, everybody wants to see everything right now. I think this is
Yeah.
the most, like, I tried to get on yesterday, and I couldn't even get on IG yesterday. Like, I couldn't even get on live at all yesterday for my 5 o'clock
Wow.
time because it was shut down.
Yep.
Because everybody is doing everything.
Everything.
Yeah, so
Everything.
it's like every time if somebody has a voice to say something about something, they're
They're
jumping on
saying
live to talk
something.
about
And
it.
like I'm really big on those things. Like I'll tell you, this sounds really crazy. Like I was like, I'm really fascinated with how government is responding to this and all sorts of little things. And I feel like the key is like straightforward facts because people don't know. People are like, what is a stay at home? What is the difference between a stay at home and a shelter in place? Like, how do you know? And so to the point where I've become like this crazy lady who's messaging people who are have more power than me being like, I actually think you should speak to the people on the difference in this and like da 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 da
Well,
da. So like
that's why I said, what does this even mean? Like, what is
yeah.
this? Like, what does this mean? And then somebody kind of explained to me, and it was like, well, the first one was, we're asking you to stay at home. Now we telling you to stay at home. But I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
but if I don't go, like, what
Yep.
happens? And because now, like, even with salon owners, I know some salons that still are open
Yeah.
because they really, I mean, they need to close, but they can't really close. But
Yeah.
they need to. So it's like, what is the consequence if you don't close? And what is like, so like, don't nobody, and they really haven't explained it to us what this
They
means. So
haven't
like,
explained it. And
yes.
I think that we're not at the point, and so like I think of like Mayor Bottoms, she issued a shelter in place for Atlanta, but she made some exemptions. But the point is, essential businesses are defined as hospitals, restaurant, and they've included like food and takeout and carryouts to go in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like a perfect example is, hey, I went to Houston's to pick up my food and I sat at the bar for an hour waiting for it with
Mm-hmm.
like 20 other people. That
Right.
is not acceptable. Like you are
Right.
now spreading it there. So like
Mm-hmm.
the salons and stuff, I I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news on it, but I would
No,
say
we're not
no.
accepting.
Like for the next 4 weeks, if we want to curb this viral climb, y'all have to really do your thing and stay at home and stay isolated. Like I haven't seen my sister. Paul and I have not, we left the house. I've gone on 2 runs. I went on a walk in my neighborhood and we haven't fired up our cars to go anywhere because I literally, hey, I just was like, I'm not going out like this. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't know. And there's
Mm-hmm.
so many young people who are have become sick and you just can't guess, right? And I just
Mm-hmm.
would be like, I'll be really mad at myself if I'm feel like an elephant sitting on my chest 3 weeks from now because I loosened up a little bit.
Yeah, because I had to go somewhere, and you really didn't have to.
You really don't.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the other thing I was like reading, like what does immunocompromised mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading articles about smoking and hookah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been a hookah smoker for 10 years, what do your lungs look like? And people don't factor in those crazy things like, oh shoot, maybe my lungs are a little bit compromised by inhaling all that smoke. Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I a risk person? Oh, I don't know. So I'm just like, guys, stay home. Stay home.
So just stay at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, now I'm just gonna be just a little messy now. Just a
Come
little, just a
on.
tad bit. Just a
It's
little
no
bit.
fun.
So talk to me about your Housewives experiences.
Okay.
This is your second year on
It's
there.
my second year.
But yeah, so and I think people get really confused. You spoke about it before. People get really confused, like back and forth, like, give Tanya a peach, and Tanya like, I don't want a peach. You're like,
I got it. I mean, I say, this is the thing about lives. You say stuff, and then someone screen captures it, and I was like, wow, how did this get so much legs? But
right.
yeah,
But how's your experience? How has your experience been? Just because people. Well, first Let me tell you. Well, first I met Tanya through our friend. We have a mutual friend, Quinny.
Yep, that's
And I
right.
will say that this is the person that you came into the salon. And I was like, who is this crazy lady? Like she comes in here with this fur coat on, and she's like, ah! I'm like, who is this
That
lady?
is so
And
mean.
I didn't know who she was. Like, but so we introduced each other. We was like, oh, okay, cool. She was like, I like this hair. I want to try this color. I'm like, oh, take it with you. So then months later, we end up going to the Anita Baker concert all together.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then so Nene was like, why didn't you tell us about Tanya? I was like, I met her once. I didn't know that this was even happening. But so to go from you are big in your world. So go from your world to the world. How is that different for you?
I mean, it's so different because it's very different because you go from just like, people would know you in your own world. It was very comfortable in that lane. And then you're on this much bigger arena, right? Where people are like, who is this girl? We don't know her. And I was like, and I think for me, it's very different because like, I didn't need to be known in different places. I just kind of like keep doing who I am. And I'm just like, cool. I guess. But like, I will say there's things that I love about it. Like I feel like I'm really lucky because I love my social media family that I have now. Like you start to really recognize how different it is. And, when people come up to you and they're nice to you in public and they're just like, hi, I feel like I know you in my head. And like, I've been that person where I'm like, oh my gosh, Tracy Ellis Ross, I feel like I know you in my head. Right. And it's just like really genuine and natural. So I appreciate that stuff. The show is fun. I mean, I think I'm really grateful that it's maybe my second year and I've had 2 years to like forge deeper friendships with a lot of the ladies, which is really nice. And you just appreciate that because it becomes, whether or not you start off as coworkers, like they're really like they're your friends in arms. It's like I compare it sort of to nursing because your nursing friends will be friends for life because the stories that you have and the stuff that you have to endure, like I could call up my friends and be like, girl, do you remember when that guy projectile vomited all over us? Like you never forget that, right? And it's like the same as being on the show, right? They are your coworkers, so you really get to know them. So it's been fun. It has its ups and downs, that's for sure.
Now, are you big into do you read your comments? Like, are you a big comment reader? Well, okay, so
I do try to. I delete negative comments.
Okay, so I was about to ask you, well, how do you do with the negative comments? Like, does that get you? Does anything hit you? You be like, oh, or you kind of work.
For sure. I definitely delete negative comments. I didn't at first. And then someone said something to me. It's like, it's your page. Like you wouldn't, if someone came and scrawled something on your garage door, you would wipe it off. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like so I delete most negative comments. If I don't like them, some of them I'll leave because I'll be like, oh, that was just you exposing yourself for being mean. But yeah, someone once said to me, it's your page. You can do what you want with it. So I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not a newspaper. I can do whatever I want. And so some stuff does because some people are just like hashtag mean people suck. And I'm like, who says that stuff? Yeah. And then I just have to realize like mean people, like it's their own mean karma. And like, it has nothing to do with me. Like they don't even know me or know the truth of it. So I just don't care.
So when I first started on television, a producer, she gave me some really good advice, and she said that because everybody would talk about, they edit me this way, they edit me this way, they edit me this way, but she said we can only edit what you give us. Like if you give this to us, we can only do what you gave it to it. So do you feel like how they've been portraying you on television has been correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. But I always I do feel it. Like, and people, I think when they first started seeing me on the show, they'd be like confused by me. Like people would be like, I've heard it all. You're a dork, you're geeky, you're corny, you're whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm all those things for sure. Like, I don't know. So I feel like, and the other thing that someone said to me is like, I just think like what you say is what you say. And so, there's times when maybe you'll get mad and you're like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But what you say is what you say.
And it's here, it is there. So,
yeah,
coming from Canada, And is there a big difference
What
between
up, Canada? I see some Canadians in the house.
I see they're raising their flags.
Yeah.
Is there a big difference between Canada and the U.S. as
Yes.
far as
Yes.
people?
100%. 100%.
Like, what are some big differences? Because I've never been to
Okay,
Canada. I mean, I've been to
here,
Canada
I'm going to give you the perfect example. Remember
Mm-hmm.
when Drake came on the scene and everyone was like, yo, that dude is whack, he's corny,
Yes.
he's this, like,
Mm-hmm.
hello? Like, we're very similar because it's just different. And I don't know how to say it, but Canadians, oh, look, there's even more Canadians in here. My spin buddies. Hi, guys.
Yeah, they're representing right now.
No, I'm telling you. But seriously, like, we're just, I don't know. Here's the thing. I will back to the fact that, like, Canada has a different, historically, Canada is very, very multicultural, right? So for me, for example, like, my dad is African, my mom is English. Like, we were first generation immigrants that populated that country, right? So the diversity of it makes it weird. So people are always like, wait, why do you like soca music? And I was like, because from the time I was 2, in my family, we would listen to African music, soca music, this, and then I'd come over and my aunt would be making literally like Russian pierogies from scratch. I didn't know it was like supposed to be any different. So I just think that from that, I personally maybe grew up in a very different way and I just didn't know any different. And then, you know, so I had this mixture of all these experiences, which I think once I got to the US translated a little bit different because people were like, this girl is what? Huh? I don't understand. I don't know. But I just do think it's a bit different.
Now, would you go back to Canada or
yes?
That was an easy yes.
I'm not even going to get into the slavery piece because someone, yes, she commented, I always want to call you Lisa, but it's not, about slavery. And I think that too, this will make this conversation go way, way deeper. But I think the long history that the US had with slavery, especially for African Americans, I mean, you guys have had to deal with something very different than a lot. And I say that because a lot of the Black people in Canada, even though we did have Indigenous people and Blacks that had been there a long time through the Underground Railroad, but because a lot of them were populated by first generation immigrants from the West Indies and African, it was very different too. Like their take on slavery and oppression was very, very different.
Well, no, I appreciate you giving us that different look on, because like I said, like the girls go travel places, but you actually took them somewhere and were able to show them and give them first-hand experience of what it is and what goes on in Canada, which I really appreciate watching, because I didn't know all that happened.
Yeah.
The only thing that I got from Canada was watching South Park.
Oh my gosh, South Park is hilarious. People love that.
But that's all I knew about Canada.
Yes.
And I went there when I was a kid. Y'all have what's the part that's right next to Michigan? And they have like a little
Detroit.
kiddie. Niagara
Falls?
No. What part of Canada is right next to Michigan?
Windsor,
and it's like a kiddie place that people go to. I went there.
Yes.
That's all I know about.
Okay, Windsor's fun. And like when I grew up, honestly, going to the States was like the biggest thing. Like we would cross border shop, and like my older sister did med school in Philadelphia. So like I was probably 18 and I would go visit her and I was like, oh my God, Americans are so cool. Like, oh, it was just such a big thing. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like y'all have always been really cool.
Now, all these girls, they diversify their brands from the show. So what are you working on something? What you got something popping up that we... Or you was already. I mean, you were already a boss in your world.
Yeah.
So you're like
a lot of the stuff that I've been doing is more of a continuation. And I will say, like, that's the one thing about being a friend. Like, you don't get to show a lot of that on the show, which is kind of good for me and kind of bad because a lot of the businesses I work with, it doesn't make sense for them to be on the show, sort of thing. There's a lot of privacy issues, so that kind of works for me. But you know, there's a lot of that I could work with that might really benefit from being on the show, but I feel like sometimes they wouldn't show that stuff anyways. But, you know, I'm still working. So recently in my past like 8 or 9 years, I've been working in technology. So we run an accelerator program there. So just working and mentoring a lot of those companies. We do the startup battle, which basically does investments into early stage entrepreneurs. So I kind of just do more of that. So like these past couple of weeks at home, I just spend my time on a lot of Zoom calls, working with entrepreneurs, and just doing other fun stuff that, well, I find it fun anyways. Other people would be like, that's whack.
Well, what I do appreciate about you, Tanya, is that you really put your time where your mouth is. Like you're on boards, you're on like you do, and you do a lot of give back.
Oh my gosh.
Which one is the board is yours that you're always at?
Kate's Club.
Kate's Club. Yes.
I spend a lot of time at Kate's Club. I started out there maybe like 4 years ago as a volunteer, and now I'm on the board. So I actually am a really super active board member, and I'm just going to shout it out. Shameless plug, guys. It's based in Atlanta, and it's for kids between the ages of 5 and 18 who have lost a parent or sibling or loved one. So we actually have a physical clubhouse that we run. We do a gala every year, and all our programming is for free. And I'm really super involved in this because I lost my mom when my sister and I were 11 and 12. And there was just nothing like this out there for us. So really, really big on this organization, trying to keep it all free. And I mean, at times like this, when people are losing grandparents to COVID and our need is even greater. So it's just really beautiful. We work with a lot of therapists and do a lot of really amazing programs. So like our kids are right now are brokenhearted because that's their support network, and they can't, the same way they can't go to school, they can't go to their programs. We had to cancel our summer camp, and we've also had to postpone the gala that I'm chairing this year. So it's called Kate's Club, guys. katesclub.org.
Yeah,
check
okay.
us
I'm
out.
going to pin it. Somebody
yeah.
just up there. I'm going to pin it.
But like, can I just, okay, I'm just going to tell you, like, one of our favorite activities, because I think this really hits home with people. So a lot of what we do is try in a fun way, because I remember when I lost my mom, I remember going to a church basement and just sitting in a circle with all these other kids that just felt really weird. And we just sat there and nobody wanted to talk because it was so awkward. What our thing is all about, like fun therapeutic play. So fun summer camp stuff. So we did this activity the other day that was for Harry. Oh, let me talk about this clay one. So we did clay masks for little kids, right? And like little kids between the ages of 5 and 8, like how do you ask a 5-year-old, tell me about your grief? How are you feeling? Let's talk about this so that we can work through it. Like they're 5 and 8. So we started them talking, and we were like, oh, Lee Smith says, Tanya, hang up. Be quiet. I'm talking about stuff for the kids.
Yes, we're talking about good stuff that people want to hear about. We're talking about
you hang up. Anyways, hi G the Jen. And so basically they talk about like, oh, my grief feels like a lion. It makes me want to roar and rip at things. Or my grief feels like a mouse. It's so tiny. It's inside of me. And so they would make little clay masks, and then they would put them on their face, and it would be like a way for them to express their grief. So fun stuff like that, that's supportive and really educational, but helps them to work through their grief. Yeah.
So question for you. So what, because they cut you off at an hour on this thing, and we're coming up on it.
Oh, and I talk a lot.
No, it's okay. No, but it's all information that we all wanted to hear. It's okay. I like talking. So for people that just kind of came in, you would say like work on a website.
Yes, work on a website. Let's go back to work on a website. Build a brand.
Yes, we'll work on a website. Build a brand. Stay your ass at home.
Stay your ass at home.
Yes. If you do decide to go out, cover your mouth if you can.
Yeah, cover your mouth, and that's a protective thing for other people. I think going back to some tips, I did a webinar this morning for small business organizations. It was just sort of a test run. We're going to repeat it. So I literally launched it. I said, hey guys, if you're around in an hour, sign in, but I'll do more of those in the future. I just wanted to see how many people were interested in that. And I was actually impressed. Like I said, hey, in 1 hour log in, and I got 33 people that sat through an hour presentation by I didn't present on this, some experts that were talking about, hey, how do you get all this stimulus loan that everyone's talking about? So follow me. I'll try and do more of those things. I'm working on one on digital marketing for those of you that are trying to convert your business. So that should be on the 14th of April. So I'm just trying to get more of that information out to people and see how we can help more people.
Yes, I want to know that because I need to know that myself.
Yeah.
to kind of figure out, because this whole, for us old school people,
Yeah.
this is still a new lane for us,
Yep.
and we're still just trying to figure it all out.
Well, figure it all out, and they make it really confusing. Like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Trump said $2 trillion is going out into the atmosphere." Like, how do we get that money? No one's talking about that.
But it's so there's so many funds. Like I text you one for the bartenders that came across. So and then and hairstylists and that PG A1.
Yes.
The $10,000 grant one.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So I filled it out. I didn't get nothing back yet. I don't understand. We don't you don't really tell you nothing. It's like, okay, great.
They don't. And so those, I feel like they started taking I learned a lot in that seminar. They started taking applications for that yesterday, but they said was they're only going to do it up to like X point. So, that's why I'm telling people, just get on it now, try and fill it out. Like even little things like, this is the time to, guys, if you didn't do your taxes and you filed for that extension, don't wait for the next extension. You ain't got anything else to do but get your stuff in order right now. Like you might have cleaned your kitchen closet, like get this stuff in order.
So when is your next, what is the next book club meeting?
The next book club is tonight at 8:30, guys. Such a nerd, and I'm so excited.
Now, wait, are y'all talking about the same book? I was gonna try to get the book and read it, because I listened to your guys' conversation, and the book sounds quite good.
The book is good. I was actually afraid to do it because there's so many different themes of like race and class, and like I didn't want to be too insightful about it, but I think it just gets people talking. But the book is called Such a Fun Age. It's by a Black woman, and basically it starts off where this young Black woman who's a nanny, she's 25, has to take her charge to a store, and she gets some other white woman in there is like, you must have kidnapped that baby. They call the police, and it's a whole big thing. So a story spins out of that, but we talk about it on my live, and like it's just a great way to say, hey guys, tune in, read this book, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. And what's the book name again?
Such a Fun Age.
Such a Fun Age.
And so we're going to do that for 3 more weeks. So I gave basically, I broke it up and said, guys, I don't know how much time you have, but read it a little bit every week, and then we'll talk about it. And then the 4th week, I'm going to have the author tune in. So we'll do a double live like this, so we can be like, girl, why did you do this? It's just really cool when you actually get to talk to the author.
I mean, so you could just reach out to the author and he jump on live?
Yes.
Oh, that's
so, and then my next book, I'll give you a sneak peek here, guys. It's only going to be, I'm going to take a week off after that, and then it'll be a 1 week. Do you guys follow this guy, Gary Janetti? He's married to Brad Gorowski. So funny online. And he wrote like a funny memoir, and it's just hilarious. So it's not going to be as serious as this, but I think it's just a fun thing to talk about. And then I've got another book lined up after that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get Such a Fun Age.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna get that so I can join into the conversation, so I can know what y'all talking about.
You should.
Because it sounded very, very interesting.
It's good.
But Tanya, thank you.
Time flies.
Time does fly, and this was easy and fun, wasn't it?
It was so easy and fun. I'm happy to do it again, guys, because we ain't got anything else to do. That's not true. That's not true. Go and build your website.
Build your website.
Learn to code.
Building your brand. File your taxes.
File your taxes.
At home. We learned a lot of information today.
Yeah.
This will be up on my story for 24 hours, so you guys can come back to it if you missed something. And Tanya, you're 8:00 tonight.
8:30 Eastern time.
8:30. Yes. We're literally running TV station right now.
I'm telling you. Like, oh wait, where's my microphone? I had a microphone here. I should get. Oh wait, hold on a second, because this is gonna make you guys laugh. Because I told you I'm an only child, so sometimes I just do my own karaoke at home.
You do it by yourself?
I make Paul watch me. I think it entertains him because he just like picks different songs, and like I literally give it my all. My favorite are Broadway renditions. Guys, I'm crazy. Like I'm telling you, I'm cuckoo for Corona.
You go all out, don't you? Do you have outfit changes too, or do you just kind of stay?
Usually I've been doing a lot of them in like a what do you call it? A leotard. So the other day I did a whole performance in like, basically, I'm not even joking you, like a Beyonce single ladies leotard.
We need to put that one on. You need to put that on live.
They go in. I mean, Paul, so he's like, man, if people could see who you really are dancing around like this. And I was like, never.
I think that we would love to see a Broadway rendition of something
Oh my gosh.
by Tanya Sam.
I mean, guys, you've got to keep yourself positive however you can.
So 8:30 tonight, y'all run over to Tanya's page so y'all can listen to her talk about the book. The book sound out. Like I said, I'm about to read it myself because I was listening to it. I was like, this sounds really good. So check her guys out. And
okay, listen. Thank you guys. I'm going to shout out my friend Kim, who's known me since I was like 9. And she just wrote Cats because she knows me. She's like, yeah, I know you do that for real. Like the musical Cats is one of my favorites.
Thank you, Tanya. And I will talk to you later, babe.
Bye, Derek J. Love you. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Oh, that was absolutely fun. So you see her Kate's Club, what she was talking about is right there. Make sure y'all go check her out at 8:30 while she talks about the book. What else? Tomorrow I have Tim Wallace is coming on here. He does Tarazi P. Henson's hair. And so I'm doing 2 tomorrow. So at 5 is Tim Wallace, and at 7 is my trainer. And we're gonna do some full body workout. So make sure y'all wear your gym clothes. I don't know if I'm prepared for that, but let's do it. I have nothing else to do. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and thank you guys for watching and talking. Hey, Michelle, and I'll talk to y'all later. See y'all tomorrow.